So I want to close out this week with something that might be uncomfortable, and that would be the people around you, your circle, your inner ring, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 10, maybe even 15 people you spend the most time with, the ones you talk to the most, the ones you allow closest to your life. They're not random, they're not accidental, they're not neutral either. They're a mirror. And so here's the uncomfortable fact or the brutal truth. Look at your circle. You're, look at your circle and you're looking at yourself. The standards, their standards are a reflection of your standards. Their habits are a reflection of what you tolerate. Their trajectory is often a preview of your own. You can tell me you're ambitious. You can tell me you're disciplined. You can tell me you're committed to growth. However, if your circle is complacent, undisciplined, stagnant, then I know something about you that your words can't hide. Understand something. The circle doesn't lie. It reveals what you actually accept. Correct? Oh, we do got a pretty small class today. But that's fine. Somebody's going to hear this message. So that's not judgment. It's just physics. Why? You become like the people you surround yourself with. And it's not because you're weak, but because you're human. You see, humans are social creatures. We absorb, we uh we mirror, we calibrate, adapt to our environment. You see, the beliefs of your circle become your beliefs. The standards of your circle become your standards. The ceiling of your circle becomes your ceiling. You're not immune to influence. No one is. Their ceiling is your ceiling. There was this guy, what's his name? Jim Ron. He said it decades ago. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think the 5, right? I believe something like that. It's been repeated often, very often. It's become damn near cliche at this point. But cliches become cliches because they're true. So your income tends toward the average of your circle. Your fitness tends towards the average of your circle. Your ambition, your discipline, your drive, your consistency, your mindset, all of it trends towards the 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 mean of the people around you. So you're not rising above your environment. You're just being shaped and molded by it. Hence that other saying, you are who you hang around with. Think about your circle at the moment. Think about your circle right now and actually think about it. What do they talk about? What do they value? How do they spend their time? Are they building something? Are they growing? Are they pushing themselves? Or are they complaining, coasting, co pilot, fucking celebrating mediocrity? The conversations you have most often become the thoughts you think most often. It's quite simply how it is. So choose the conversations very carefully. Be intentional about this. And so here's the first mirror. I kind of want to dive into the mirrors or the way in which how your circle is a mirror of you. The first mirror is that if your circle is small minded, then you're tolerating small mindedness. I agree with this. If you hang out with three bums all the time, you could be the fourth. Exactly, because their ceiling, their standard is being a bum. So you're not immune to influence. You're not immune to it. You're being shaped by that environment, by that circle. So as I'm saying, is like if your circle is small minded, then you'll just tolerate small mindedness, whether it's actions or uh, ambitions of any sort. If your circle is negative, then what you're tolerating, what you're accepting is negativity. If your circle is undisciplined, you're tolerating a lack of discipline. It's not only about you, it's your circle. You might not be these things yourself, but you're accepting them in your environment. And acceptance is the first step to absorption. What you tolerate, you eventually become. Because what you tolerate becomes your standard, and your standard influences the decisions you make, the actions you take. So, in that sense, you tolerate what you tolerate, you eventually do end up becoming. Correct? Right. So, let me kind of dive into how circles shapes you, how circles shape you. I want to go deeper on this mechanism here. How exactly do the people around you shape who you become? Understand something. It's not magic. It's not mysterious. It's not like no taboo, boo boo shit. It's just psychology and repetition. That's all. Influence operates through specific channels. Name them, and you can manage them. Awareness is the first step, correct? So here's like the different channels. The first channel I would say is a normalization. Whatever your circle does regularly becomes normal to you. If everyone around you wakes up at noon, sleeping until noon feels normal. It feels common. It feels like the thing to do. If everyone around you is broke, then being broke feels normal. If everyone around you complains constantly, then complaining feels normal. You see, normalization is invincible. You don't notice the standard being set because it's set through repetition, not just some random declaration. One day you wake up and realize you've adopted patterns you never consciously chose. You just absorbed what was around you. Some people don't realize they're a sponge. Normal is defined by your environment. So change the environment and then you'll change what's normal. Number two, the second channel would be permission. Your circle gives you permission, explicitly or implicitly, for certain behaviors. If your circle tolerates, or no, if your circle celebrates discipline, you have permission to be disciplined. If your circle mocks, makes fun of ambition, then you need to hide your ambition or face some kind of social cost. If your circle enables your worst habits, then you have permission to keep them. We're social creatures. We seek approval, consciously or unconsciously, and we often limit ourselves to what our circle will approve of. This shit ain't no boo boo shit. This is psychology. You don't exceed what your circle gives you permission to be. Think about this in trading. If your trading circle celebrates revenge trading and gambling behavior, that's permission. If your circle just somehow permits, in one way or another, bad trading habits, that gives you subconsciously the permission to operate in that same manner as well. If they normalize blowing accounts and starting over, that's permission. If they never talk about discipline, journaling, a process, which most, give or take, most trading groups do, then, if it's all about P&L and L and screenshots and big wins and profits, then that shapes what you think trading is. Trading is all about the outcome, not the input. It's all about the output, not the input, even though the input is what leads to the output. Everybody worried about results, not the journey. You see, your trading circle is training you. The question is, what is it training you for? Is your trading circle training you for bad trading habits, or is your trading circle those who you surround yourself, training you to be, quite simply, a more improved version of yourself? You must put thought into that. The third channel I would express here is expectation, and I've spoke about this recently with Zeke. Your circle holds expectations for you, and you tend to meet them. If they expect you to succeed, you rise to that expectation. You perform even through that pressure. If they expect you to fail, then you often fulfill that prophecy as well. If they expect nothing, then you frequently deliver exactly that. Expectations are quite powerful. They create invincible pressure toward the expected outcome, whatever it is. The expectations of your circle becomes the ceiling you unconsciously accept. So think about the expectations that your circle has set of you. Are there any expectations? What was that? Three channels? Let me add a fourth one in there. That would be conversations. What you talk about shapes what you think about. If your conversations are about growth, opportunity, possibility, your mind orients towards growth, opportunity, possibility. If your conversations are about drama, gossip, complaints, everything that's going wrong in one's life, and just simply sitting there just complaining and not doing anything about it, then your mind fills with drama, gossip, complaints. Think about a lot of these oh, let me give you the tea and this, that, that's all gossip. That's not nothing productive or nothing that's growth oriented. It's just about speaking on another person, and there's no true solution or goal in that conversation. Conversations are programming. Every dialogue is a download. You're installing software with every extended interaction. So be very wary, be very careful what you let others install in your mind. You must protect that inner temple. Make sense? I think I got a few left as far as channels. Okay, great. So that was fourth. The fifth channel I would say is energy. This one is harder to, I guess, quantify, but it's impossible to ignore. You see, people carry energy. Year of the word last year had to have been aura. Some people's auras energize you, some drain you. Some people's energy energize you, some drain you. And after some interactions, you'd either feel elevated or inspired, capable. After others, you may feel depleted, drained, heavy, diminished. Energy is contagious. You don't just absorb ideas from your circle, you absorb their state. If your circle drains you consistently, then they're not just taking your time, they're taking your capacity. Six, very important, accountability. Some circle either holds you accountable or enables your excuses. Some people call you out. They don't let shit slide. They expect you to follow through and they notice when you don't. Others let you off the hook. They expect your excuses and they accept it. They agree that they agree that it's not your fault, that the conditions weren't right, that you'll do it next time, that the reason you didn't follow through on X thing was not in your control. And so that way it's possible, or not possible, but it's acceptable to blame all that's external for as to why you didn't follow through on whatever it is you decided to commit to. One type of person makes you better, the other helps you stay the same. I want you to think about that. Write that down. Even if it's in your head, write it down. One type of person makes you better, the other helps you stay the same. Accountability is love. Enablement, enablement, enabling is comfortable betrayal. That was 6. Okay. Channel 7, identity reinforcement. Your circle reinforces who they think you are. If they see you as the disciplined one, they'll reinforce that. They'll expect it. They'll be surprised if you deviate. If they see you as the one who never follows through, they'll reinforce that too. They'll expect failure. They won't be surprised when you do quit. The identity your circle holds for you becomes easier to maintain and harder to escape. Your circle's perception of you becomes a gravitational pull, either toward or away from who you're trying to become. So, with that stated, let me summarize the mechanism here as far as the mirror. See, normalization defines what's acceptable, permission defines what's allowed, expectations define what's anticipated, conversations define what you think about. What was the other one? Energy. Energy defines your capacity, either you're full or drained, capable or incapable. Accountability defines your commitment. Accountability defines your follow through. Identity reinforcement defines who you believe you are. Those are what I believe, those are 7 channels. All operate constantly, simultaneously. All are shaping you, whether you're aware of it or not. And so for me in my circle, the most influential or the most impactful channel for me would be identity reinforcement. As soon as I met Zeke and Romel, they already knew me to be someone who's quite studious, who's quite great with their words, someone who's disciplined, someone who's punctual with themselves, someone who values internal structure, someone who values their inner self. And so, because that was the identity that was held throughout our friendship, in times where I wanted to escape that, in times where I wanted to cheat on that, I guess you can say, identity, it made it a bit hard. It made it a bit hard to deviate from that because I knew there was expectations set for me. You're supposed to be this person who, not supposed, but I'm expecting of you to be this person who follows through every time. Your word is law. What you say you'll do, you'll do. You're someone who's ordered, who's structured. Your life is, uh, it's ordered, it's organized. And so on times where I wanted to fall back, it's been clear to me that I had to hold up to that standard. And then even accountability. In times where I didn't, I was held accountable for that. And so even in my own circle, I see that identity reinforcement, accountability, even energy has been very impactful in my own circle. So I want you to think about as well, carry this in and introspect and identify where or which channels have the most impact in your inner circle. So, with that said, it's time for an audit. Not comfortable, but necessary. If you want to change who you become, you have to examine who you're surrounded by. So, here's the exercise. List, it might not even be 10, but let's suppose it is, or let's suppose 5. List the 5 people you spend the most time with. Actually, no. List the 10 people you spend the most time with. Include everyone. Family, friends, colleagues, online communities, whoever occupies your attention. List the 10 people you spend the most time with. I'm sure we all have 10 people that we spend our time with. Again, that being friends, family, online communities, in this server, other servers, colleagues, those who occupy your attention. List them. Now, well, I kind of want to see if y'all, has anybody listed 10 people so I can feel like I can continue? Or do you at least have 10 people in mind? You got 7. Okay, 7 is enough. Listed 5. Okay, 5 is enough. We'll take that. At least you gave it a shot. So I want you to ask yourself these questions about each one of these people. Question 1. Does this person elevate me or drain me? After spending time with them, am I more energized or less? Am I more capable or less? Am I more inspired or less? You see, not every interaction needs to be some fucking like motivational seminar, but the overall effect, is it positive or negative? So this is the energy audit. Who fills the tank and who empties the tank? So again, the first question to ask yourself about each one of those 10 people or however many people you listed is, does this person elevate me or drain me? Question 2, does this person embody what I'm trying to become? Are they living the standards I aspire to? Are they demonstrating the discipline, the growth, the mindset I'm building, working towards? Or are they demonstrating the complete opposite, living in patterns that I'm trying to escape? That's like the embodiment audit. It's the embodiment audit. Who's walking the path ahead of me and who's walking backward? Does this person embody what I'm trying to become? Question 3, does this person challenge me or enable me? Do they push me to do better? Do they call me out when I slipped, or do they expect more from me? Or do they accept my excuses? Do they let me stay comfortable? Do they enable my worst patterns? That's that follow through audit, the accountability audit. Who makes me better by not letting me slide? Granted, nobody's responsible for your doing but you. So you ain't gonna have 24/7 personal coaches and shit, personal trainers, but those who don't let you slide with whatever, whenever. Does this person challenge me or enable me? Question 4. What does this person believe is possible? Do they have an expansive view of what's achievable? Do they believe in growth, opportunity, transformation? Or do they have a more contracted view, a limited view, believing that things don't change, that limits are fixed, that shit, this is just how it is, this is just how my life is going to be? That's that belief audit. Who expands my sense of what's possible? Who expands my sense of possibility, and who shrinks it? So, question 4, to ask about each of the 10 people you spend the most time with. Who does this person, or what does this person believe is possible? Question 5, what do we talk about? Very important question. Are our conversations about growth, goals, ideas, improvement, or are they about drama, complaints, gossip, tea, shade, whatever the fuck? Problems without any solutions. Solutions. That would be the interaction audit, the conversation audit. What programming am I downloading regularly? What is this part? What am I installing from what this person is telling me based on the conversations we have? That was 5. Question 6. Who would the person I want to become choose this relationship? Again, would the person I want to become choose this relationship with this person? That being the 10 people you spend the most time with. Think about all of them: family, friends, colleagues, people in this online community, partners, spouses, whatever. The future you, the disciplined, the sovereign, the successful version, would they spend time with this person? Would they choose this relationship, or would they recognize it as incompatible with who they're becoming? This is that future self audit. Am I in relationships my future self would embrace or endorse? This one is not easy. It's probably one of the most hardest. Some of the people on your list, some of the people you spend the most time with, you'll realize their costs, their liabilities, not assets. They're taking more than they're giving. They're shaping you in directions you don't want to go. They're molding you in shapes you never wanted to be shaped. And some of them you've known forever. Some of them are family. Some of them are people you genuinely care about. Some of these people might even be your own partner. You care a lot about these people. But caring about someone doesn't mean they're good for your growth. Love and alignment are two different things. Love and alignment ain't the same. You could love someone, but that don't mean they aligned. You could love your best friend, that don't mean they aligned. Man, I had to break away from some people. That shit was tough. And even now, I'm still breaking away from some people, letting it be known I'm in this direction, I'm no longer in that direction. It's no hate towards you, but we just growing up, and we growing apart, and that's fine. I wish you well on your path, and I'm gonna stick to mine. You see, the third law of Soire, my personal philosophy, it says emotion is observed, not obeyed. We feel, but we do not follow. Impulse is information, not instruction. But instead of impulse, let's say emotion. Emotion is information, not instruction. So apply this to your relationships. The guilt you feel about pulling back from someone, that's information, not instruction. The nostalgia that you feel about old friendships, the good old times, that's information. It's not instruction. It doesn't mean you just automatically go back to that person. The obligation you feel towards certain people, that's information, not instruction. It's okay to feel it all, but don't let it determine your choices. The future you is just too important. The life is too short to continue to tolerate people who your future self wouldn't endorse. This shit too damn short. Life expectancy for men are about 72. By the time you're about 23, you done lived, according to male's life expectancy, a third of your life. Think about how much time was unconscious wasted during that third of your life for those who are there, for those who are past a third of their life. Some people watching this as I'm recording this, or some of you in this class may be in your 30s or whatever, late 20s. You're past a third of your life, heading towards a second third of your life. For women, I believe what life expectancy is a bit higher, but even then, still, by the time you're mid 20s, you done lived a third of your life. Life is too short to continue to tolerate people who, again, a more aligned version of yourself wouldn't accept being with. You see, this audit that I had you all, or for those of you who participated, this audit reveals the truth. But after that comes the harder part. The harder part. What do you do about it? You see, awareness without action is just entertainment. The shit just becomes a novella. The audit only matters if it leads to change, if something is done about it. So there's different ways to go about it. The first way I would say is to reduce your exposure to low quality relationships. You don't have to dramatically, out of nowhere, on some movie shit, just cut people off. That's rarely necessary and often creates more drama than it solves. And so you just add more onto your plate than your plate originally had just tolerating this person. But what you can reduce is exposure, less time, less access, less conversation. The person who drains you, maybe they don't need to be in your daily rotation. Maybe they become a monthly interaction instead. The person who enables your worst patterns, maybe they don't need to be your first call when things get hard. You see, you control proximity. Use that control wisely. I have people, one of my best friends from middle school, bro, we was close as fuck. Hella close, but we just end up growing apart. Dude, like, he does things way differently than I do. Dude's still doing, he's still doing crime and shit like that. And so that was my boy. That was my guy. These days, my exposure to him is very low. We only talk about once a month, once every 2 months sometimes. We don't talk often. It just be like, yo, what's going on? How you feeling? You been all right? Just a little quick checkup and that's it. I go on by my way. There's not much access there, and I've deliberately created it to be that way. And I let it be known, yo, we're growing apart. We are two different people. We don't align how we used to. And I know if I continue to tolerate and accept you into my circle, you're going to mold me, you're going to influence me to do things or to head in directions I don't aim to. And that's just all by reducing my exposure to the quality of that relationship. A second strategy would be change the context of existing relationships. Some relationships are draining in one context, but also fine in another. So what that looks like is the friend who's terrible to talk about trading or investing or business. They might be great for recreation though. The family member who's toxic about money might be wonderful about other things, art, hobbies, basketball, football. You can keep the relationship, but change the terrain. Stay away from topics. Stay away from the topics, activity, or context that where the relationship becomes more corrosive. Not every relationship needs to be everything. Some are best kept narrow. I got friends for when it's time to get lit and slide to the club, not the club, but go to a kickback, a function during the summer. I'm only hitting them up for the summer. After the summer, you ain't hearing shit from me, gang. We only cool for one thing and one thing only. You don't have to be, just because you would be considered a friend to me doesn't mean that you have to, our worlds have to completely overlap. No, it's fine to just overlap in one area and keep it that way and only have access to them via that one overlap. Make sense? Like, you could have friends who you just play sports with them. That's it. Have your categories, and then you'd probably have one or two that the worlds are completely overlapping, or overlapping for the most part. There's a lot more in common, or there's general alignment and direction. Then it's also like, I'm gonna touch into that topic another time, but I have a lot of those relationships. I do too. So strategy, what was that? That was like the second, I think. Strategy 3 is to actively seek elevating relationships. This is the growth edge. It's interesting because you see like a lot of articles, and like you see interviews or on social media, people talk about how once they're grown up, they're not really caring, or the friends that people meet or that people make once they're already grown up generally don't grow to be the most meaningful relationships or friendships. The ones that are the most meaningful are the ones from early in life. But I beg to differ. But again, actively seeking elevating relationships. It's not enough, because this is the growth aspect. It's not enough to reduce the bad. You also have to add the good and replace that spot. I mean, you can take friends away, but who you going to place to replace that? Seek out people who embody what you're trying to become, people who are further down the path, people who operate at the level you aspire to. See, this requires effort. You have to find them. You have to provide value to them. You have to earn your way into their orbit. Elevating relationships don't just happen. You pursue them intentionally, deliberately, consciously. How do I cut exposure to these people if it's your immediately family members or partner? Again, lower your exposure. But then again, if it is your family and you're seeing these people often, it kind of becomes a bit. I'm going to provide a strategy on that. Let me just finish this point of actively seeking elevating relationships, actively seeking relationships that inspire you. The part where most people get stuck in that strategy is that they know they need to upgrade their circle. They know the relationships around them aren't supporting their growth, but they don't know how to find better people. So let me give you some directions. Direction 1 is to go where the people you want to meet are. If you want to be around disciplined traders, then obviously you join trading communities that value discipline, not the hype groups, the fucking buy this, buy that. The ones that are focused on process. If you want to be around ambitious people, then attend events, masterminds, conferences where ambitious people gather. If you want to be around fit people, then train at serious gyms. Join running clubs, for all I know. Enter competitions, marathons. Environment dictates access. Put yourself in the right environments. Here's another direction to find better people. Provide value before expecting connection. Elevated people are protective of their time and energy. They have to be because they're elevated. You don't earn access by asking for it. You earn it by contributing. Share insights. Help with problems. Be careful. Be careful. Be useful before you're a friend. Value creates relationship. Lead with value. The way I came into contact with Romel, bro, I ain't know shit about Discord. I came into Discord. I was in Size chat. It's like 7 in the morning. I'm working overnight as a doorman at the time. 7 in the morning, I'm bored as shit. I check Discord. I see Romel's on a call in Size server, and he's just like venting and shit. He was talking about his life, how things aren't going as he expected it to, and I just got on there. Everybody else was quiet, and I just got on there and started spitting to him. Yo, I forgot what exactly I was saying inside that conversation, but it was valuable. And from there, he got to know my name. Like, okay, that's Rio. That was a good conversation. From then on, I joined his server. That was when his server was like kind of first starting. He had about like 150 people in there. Got in that server. Within like 2 days of me being in that server, I sent a voice message of an excerpt that I wrote to myself about trading psychology. So I said my little voice thing. I contributed some value there. From there, that's where he reached out to me. He was like, yo, I like what that was. If you can do something consistently that way, where you just kind of spit some value to the people psychology wise, that'll be great for the server. I said, copy. From then on, Rise with Rio was created. And so for those of you who were in the server last year around this time, damn near every morning of the weekday, I was sending a voice message, just spitting psychology shit. Whether it be life, trading, whatever. From then on, that's how me and Romel got closer. That's where I provided value before expecting any kind of connection. Because I was providing value, it allowed me to gain access to his inner circle. We would cross paths more often. Again, value creates relationship. Lead with value. So the third direction would be invest in communities and education that filter for quality. Paid programs, courses, masterminds, they're not just about the content, they're about the curation. Think about being in Romel's paid group, think about being in Zeke's paid group. I mean, the people in there have one goal in mind: growth, make bread, elevate. You'll obviously align with the people there. You see, when people pay to be somewhere, the quality of the room increases. The commitment is higher because, nigga, I paid for this. The signal to noise ratio is better. I'm focused on one thing and one thing only, elevating, because I paid for this. So not only did this cost my time and attention, it costed my money as well. So there will be more direction. So essentially it's pay for access because it's often the most efficient way to upgrade your environment. Direction 4 would be the person you want to attract. I would consider this to be pretty deep. Reason why is because the quality of your relationships, you attract is limited by the quality of person you are. If you want to be around disciplined people, then become more disciplined. If you want to be around successful people, become more successful. If you want to be around growth-minded people, be growth-minded. Commit to your own growth. You attract your own level. So elevate yourself to elevate your access. The 6th law of Soire says noise is the enemy of mastery. We filter the world to protect the signal within. The fewer voices we follow, the louder our intuition becomes. Understand that this applies to people as well. Fewer, better relationships. Quality over quantity. Not more friends, but better friends. Not more voices, voices, clearer insight. Curation over collection. The filtered circle amplifies your growth. So I kind of want to touch on what Ling was saying. That's a difficult part. And I want to address that. How do I cut exposure to these people if it's your immediate family members or partner? That's the difficult part. Some of the relationships that need to change are close ones, old ones, family. This is where the audit becomes genuinely hard. First, I want to be clear about something though. You don't have to cut family off. You don't have to abandon lifelong friends, but you also don't have to give everyone equal access. You don't have to let every relationship shape you equally. Have an equal piece of you. There's a middle ground between full access and complete disconnection. There is a middle ground that exists. It don't have to be one or the other. You see, the middle ground, that's boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're not rejection, they're just clarity about what you will and won't accept in your space. With the family member who's toxic about money, you don't discuss money. You set that boundary and hold it. With the friend who enables your worst habits, you don't reach out when you're vulnerable to those habits. You just choose different moments for that relationship. With the person who drains you, you limit the duration and frequency. You protect your energy. You see, boundaries allow you to maintain relationships without being destroyed by them. How many of you are familiar with boundaries? Have you set them? Or is that something you value? Is that something you hold and are committed to in your friendships? Let me know. Let me know your relationship with boundaries in your friendships, your relationships. Nigga, this is a good topic. I'm gonna be honest. This is a good. We think, oh, all this like internal work is important, which it is, and I've constantly expressed that. But yo, the people you surround yourself with are extremely important. Yes. Yes, I value them all the time. I'm gonna out myself here. I failed to set boundaries. Okay. You were aware and honest enough to admit that. And I'm honest enough to admit I violated my own boundaries. I violated my own boundaries by using, how I say, kind of replacing the avenues that I initially, or trying to connect with people in ways where they're not meant to be connected, trying to bridge certain people together where I knew there just wouldn't be overlap, trying to fuse my friends who are locked in versus the ones who I only access them when I'm trying to just be on some chill shit, kick back. Those two can't fuse. And even setting that boundary, I still kind of intertwined the two. I violated my own boundaries there, and I had to check myself for that. In the past, I have too, but also learn from the mistakes I made for the most part. Right. So to continue, you see, sometimes the hard conversation isn't about cutting someone off. It's about being honest about what's changed. That's all. I'm in a different path now. You my boy. Or if it's your girlfriend or spouse, I love you, but I need different things from my relationships now. Things have changed. The people you cool with now won't be the same people in 5 years. They will either be more expanded versions of themselves or more contracted versions of themselves. And even either way it goes, if it's not aligned with who you are at that moment, then you just have to be honest about that. That you're on a different path. You're a different form now. And that it's no hate. It's cool. Like I still fuck with you, but things are different. It's like when you're in that conversation of I can't keep having these kind of conversations with you. They're not helping either of us. It's draining me. It's not doing anything for me. Or I need to spend less time on this and more time on things that are building my future. These conversations are uncomfortable, but the alternative to that uncomfortable conversation is slow resentment, silent distance, unexplained withdrawal. All that shit is worse. Even that creates drama, beef that neither of us need. Honest distance is more respectful than dishonest closeness. And that part is where I failed as well. I'll just just kind of distance myself. I'm not even going to make it clear that I'm distancing. And I had to learn that that's not only insensitive, but it's quite selfish, because I did that to those who cared about me. Even though I wasn't aligned with these kinds of people no more, it doesn't mean that I should. It was okay for me to treat them any different than how I used to, or to kind of undermine them as if they're not important enough, or if they're not worthy enough to have an honest declaration be brought to them of like, yo, I'm on a different path now, so I'm going to distance myself. That don't mean it ain't no hate. That don't mean it's beef or any of that. It's just respectfully, I'm on a different path. And I wish you the best. Wherever we align in the future or overlap, let it be that. Here's where I'm at right now. Again, honest distance is more respectful, more honorable than dishonest closeness, because again, that brings resentment. That brings unexplained distance. So here's the frame. Yes, and keep trying to remind them of those boundaries, because people are a creature of habit, so they keep going back to their old ways. It's draining sometimes. I agree. Not every relationship requires that, but a lot of them do. But the frame here is you're not abandoning people, you're just honoring your growth. You're respecting your commitment, you're respecting your path. You're not being cruel, you're just being clear. There's a difference, there's the distinction. You're not rejecting these people, you're just choosing yourself. And choosing yourself is not selfish. It's the prerequisite for having something to offer anyone else, if that makes sense. You see, the discipline of self love that I've created, the discipline of self love says, I am worth the discomfort of growth. I am worth the discomfort of growth. I do what I say not because it is easy, but because I am devoted to myself. Sometimes self devotion means hard conversations. A lot of people, even myself, I avoided hard conversations, but that's what keeps real relationships real and fake ones out out your space. Lean into the suck. Pause. Those sucky conversations is what keeps a relationship, a friendship clear. Sometimes self-devotion means disappointing people who want the old you. They want the old you. They value the old you. Sometimes self-devotion means being misunderstood by those who aren't on the same path. And I know a lot of us have experienced that. Being misunderstood by family, being misunderstood by friends. And that carried a social cost. Now you were seen as less than or not as cool as you were once seen. And so that kind of brings that pressure to revert to your old ways. And so you start to, that's how you start to become shaped and influenced by your circle there. The cost of growth isn't just internal, it's relational. So what you do is pay it anyway. We was just talking about this, what, Tuesday? The cost of change versus the cost of staying the same. Those of you who are there, you know what you know, if you know, you know. So I want to bring this full circle. Interesting how I'm talking about your circle and I'm bringing this full circle. Your circle is a mirror. It reflects your standards, your tolerance, your level. But here's the deeper truth. You're also a mirror for everyone in your circle. You're shaping them just as they're shaping you. Your standards influence their standards. Iron sharpens iron type shit. Your energy affects their energy. Your growth or stagnation, that gives them permission for the same. There was a word I learned not too long ago. Seen it in this book. Okay. The relationship is bi-directional. You're not just being influenced, you're influencing. This is responsibility. If you elevate, you give others permission to elevate. If you hold standards, you model what standards look like. If you grow, you become evidence that growth is possible. You can be the mirror someone else needs to see. The proof that change is real. The creed that I go by goes as to show the world what few can see, that I am sovereign, still, and free. So how I speak to myself is just like, show them. I show my friends, I show them. Not with words, but with embodiment. Be the disciplined one in the circle. Be the growing one. Be the one who holds standards and follows through. Some will rise with you. They'll see what's possible and want it for themselves and get with the program. Some will fall away. They'll just kind of shed as you're shedding your old self because they were part of that. Some will feel challenged by your growth and choose comfort over reflection. Both responses are correct. Your job isn't to control the response. Your job is to be the mirror worth looking into. Imagine being the motherfucker where people get around you and elevate. But it's also because the people you get around with elevate. Here's the vision. Let me give you a vision here. 1 year from now, your circle looks different. Not because you abandoned people or abandoned everyone, but because you became someone who attracts a different caliber, a different quality. Some old relationships evolved and they grew with you. They rose to meet you. Some old relationships faded. They couldn't handle the reflection. They chose their comfort. New relationships emerged. People who match your new standards, who accelerate your growth, who reflect back the person you've become. The circle transformed because you transformed. And that transformation accelerated because the circle supported it. The law I was just talking about, discipline is the ritual of sovereign. We do not wait for motivation. We build systems to stay aligned in the absence of motivation, of feeling like doing. Your circle is part of the system. The people around you either reinforce your discipline or they erode your discipline. They're either part of the structure that keeps you aligned or they're part of the noise that pulls you off track. Of course, build the system, curate the circle. Systemize your environment for growth. And as I said, for me, a big part of my motivation is extrinsic, being that those around me I want to influence by way of embodiment. All this talking shit I be doing every Thursday and every Tuesday, that's all the talking I'm doing. After that, I'm all action. I'm hardly at this point of my life having conversations like this often. Me, Zeke, Romel, we all busy as shit. We all busy. We don't talk as often, but we know, okay, there's still, we're still all headed in the same direction. We're working towards essentially the same vision of elevation. And so when I see Zeke doing good, it's like, okay, I know it's possible. I'm doing good. I got my own crib at 22. Zeke see what's possible. Romel in Puerto Rico, I see what's possible. I do want to leave you with this though. The people around you are not decoration. They're not background. They're not aesthetics. They're not neutral. They're a mirror showing you who you are, and they're a force shaping you, shaping who you become. You cannot separate your growth from your environment. The two are intertwined. So this week, this weekend, look honestly at your circle, not with judgment, but with clarity. See what the mirror is showing you. See what you've been tolerating, what you've accepted to be the standard. See what's been normalized, and then decide, is this the circle that builds the person you're becoming, or is it the circle that keeps you stuck where you've been? That audit right there isn't comfortable. Most people refuse to audit that. And sometimes it may even be subconsciously. Subconsciously, you would resist this audit by way of like your mind telling you, yo, this is pointless. Why should I even spend time this weekend trying to assess whether the people around me are good for me or not? That's the subconscious mind resisting the audit there because it isn't comfortable. The subconscious is there to protect you. Your entire brain is built to protect you and to evolve. Again, that audit isn't comfortable. It sucks. But the alternative to that is unconscious shaping by an unexamined environment. That's far more costly than an uncomfortable audit. So upgrade the circle. Upgrade the circle. Not overnight, not dramatically, but intentionally. Reduce what drains you and add what elevates you. Set boundaries where they're needed. Seek relationships that accelerate and become yourself. Become the mirror worth looking into. The person who reflects back growth, discipline, consistency, sovereignty, order, structure, possibility. Your circle is a choice. Make it a strategic one. So I'm going to close This has been, I believe, like my third or fourth week doing these Thursday lectures. I want to close out this fourth week with this truth. You're not alone in your journey, and don't think that you are. You're surrounded by people pulling you up or holding you down, by voices expanding your possibility or shrinking it. So choose those voices wisely. The mirror doesn't lie.